It was another scorching day, the kind where the sun blazed mercilessly, baking the cracked pavement and wilting anything caught under its glare. Eli trudged barefoot along the dusty road, his small crate of oranges pressing into his hip. His feet, darkened by grime, slapped against the ground as he walked, and his sweat-soaked shirt clung to his back. School wasn't in the cards today. Instead, he had a more pressing duty, helping his mom at their humble fruit stand. Eli, put the rest of those oranges up front. His mother, Anna, called from under the tattered shade of their stand. She wiped her brow, her voice strained with fatigue. Her face carried the same tired look she always wore, a blend of worry and determination. "Yes, ma'am," Eli replied, quickly arranging the oranges. He moved with practiced efficiency despite the midday heat bearing down on him. The road wasn't bustling. Cars zipped by, indifferent to their little stand, and passers-by were few and far between. Eli's sharp eyes scanned the area, searching for any potential customers. Across the street, something unusual caught his attention. An older man in a wheelchair was struggling to move forward. The man, with thin white hair and a reddened face, clutched heavy-looking bags as he tried to push himself. His wheelchair's wheels snagged on every crack in the sidewalk. Despite his visible struggle, no one stopped to help. Eli hesitated. He could hear Anna's voice in his head reminding him they couldn't afford distractions. Every minute counted if they wanted to sell enough fruit to make it through the day. But something about the old man's struggle gnawed at him. He set down the crate and stepped into the street, crossing carefully through the sparse traffic. The asphalt burned against his bare feet as he approached the man. "Sir, do you need some help?" Eli asked, his voice tentative but sincere. The old man looked up, surprise flickering across his face before he nodded. "Yeah, son, these bags are just too much for me." His voice was rough, tinged with exhaustion. Without a word, Eli grabbed the bags, slinging them over his shoulders. They were heavier than they looked, but he positioned himself behind the wheelchair. "I'll push you. Just tell me where to go," Eli said. "Just down to the end of this block," the man replied, pointing with a shaky hand. Pushing the wheelchair wasn't easy. The wheels squeaked, and every crack in the pavement jolted the chair forward. Eli's feet stung from the heat, and his muscles strained under the combined weight of the chair and the bags. The old man, who introduced himself as Walter, spoke softly as they moved. "What's your name, son?" he asked. "Eli," the boy replied, his breath labored. "Yours?" "Walter," the man said, leaning back slightly in the chair. Not many folks would stop. "Thank you." "It's all right," Eli muttered, focused on maneuvering the wheelchair. "My mom says we've got to help each other." When they reached a small, shabby building, Walter pointed to a faded door. "This is it," he said. Eli pushed him up the slight incline and helped him inside. The apartment smelled of old wood and dust. It was dark and cluttered, but there was something welcoming about it. Eli placed the bags just inside the door and turned to Walter, who settled into his chair with a sigh of relief. "Thank you, boy," Walter said, his expression softening. "I don't have much, but I appreciate it." Eli shook his head. "No problem, sir. I should get back now. My mom will be waiting." Walter nodded, watching as Eli turned and walked out into the sunlight. When Eli returned to the stand, Anna's sharp eyes were on him. "Where were you?" she asked, her voice tight with frustration. "I was helping someone," Eli mumbled, avoiding her gaze. Anna sighed deeply, shaking her head. "We don't have time for distractions, Eli. We need every second here if we're going to make it." "I'm sorry, ma'am," he said, guilt weighing heavily on his chest. He picked up a crate and got back to work, but his mind lingered on Walter's weary face. That night, as the family shared their meager dinner, Eli couldn't shake the image of Walter's tired eyes. The next morning, he woke early and joined Anna in preparing for another long day at the stand. Tension still lingered between them, though neither spoke of it. They set up as the sun climbed higher, and Eli focused on the work, trying to push away the thoughts of the previous day. Mid-morning, as he arranged the fruit, Eli noticed a familiar figure approaching. It was Walter, wheeling himself slowly down the street. Eli's heart skipped a beat. He glanced at Anna, who raised an eyebrow but said nothing as Walter stopped near the stand. "Morning, Eli." Walter greeted warmly. "Ma'am," he added, nodding politely to Anna. "Good morning," Anna replied cautiously. Walter turned to Eli. "I wanted to thank you again for helping me yesterday. It meant a lot. I was hoping you could stop by my place later. There's something I'd like to give you." Eli blinked, caught off guard. "Give me? What for?" Walter just smiled. "You'll see. Stop by when you're done here." Eli looked at Anna, who studied Walter for a moment before nodding. "Go on, Eli, but don't be too long." When Eli arrived at Walter's apartment later that day, he knocked lightly. Walter opened the door and motioned for him to come in. "Thanks for coming, Eli," he said, wheeling himself to a small table. He picked up a package wrapped in brown paper and handed it to the boy. Eli unwrapped it carefully, revealing a pair of sturdy shoes. They weren't new but were in good condition. "I noticed you didn't have shoes yesterday," Walter said gently. "Figured you could use these. They've still got some miles left in them." Eli stared at the shoes, his throat tightening. "Thank you, sir. I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything," Walter replied with a warm smile. "Just know that sometimes people need a little help, and sometimes it's okay to accept it." Eli nodded, holding the shoes close. "I appreciate it, sir. Really." When Eli returned home, Anna noticed the shoes immediately. "Where did you get those?" she asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and caution. "Walter gave them to me," Eli explained. "He said I could have them since I didn't have any." Anna studied the shoes, her lips pressing into a thin line. Finally, she handed them back to Eli. "Put them on. You need them." Eli slipped the shoes on, marveling at how sturdy they felt. For the first time in a long while, he felt a flicker of something unfamiliar: hope. Over the following days, Eli continued to visit Walter. Each visit brought new lessons: how to fix things, how to think creatively, and how to approach life with resilience. Walter's stories of his past, of dreams deferred and battles fought, became a source of inspiration for Eli. Bit by bit, Eli began to see possibilities beyond the dusty road and the fruit stand. And as he walked home each evening, the sturdy shoes on his feet felt like a reminder of the kindness that had sparked a new path forward, one step at a time.